Guardian has been dismantled and recovered by the U.S. Navy from the Tubbataha Reef, where it was stuck for several months. What happens now since there was damage inflicted on the reef? Will the U.S. government pay to rehabilitate areas destroyed by the incident? Joining us tonight is Director Jacob Meimban Jr. He heads the DNR's Office for Coastal and Marine Management. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Kathy.
So let's do a little review. When did the event happen and what has happened ever since?
The grounding happened January 17, and the dismantling of the ship is already finished. Tapos na siya. The next process would be the damage assessment.
All right, so what is now being done to assess what has been the extent of the damage of this U.S. Marine vessel to the Tubbataha Reef?
Yeah, teams will be formed by primarily by the Tubbataha Protected Area Management Board. It will be consist of teams from the scientists and some technical people from the DENR and the Fisheries Department.
So are we holding on to a baseline survey based on the damage that was done? And how long will the assessment take?
The assessment would start immediately, and it would take probably 2 to 4 weeks.
Mm-hmm. So what kind of rehabilitation will be undertaken?
Rehabilitation would cover natural and some active restoration. For example, natural would be you will just leave the reefs alone. Coral reefs are one of the most resilient ecosystems in the planet. So research have shown that if you leave the reef and have it pabayaan mo lang, it will just recover by itself. We would also go, for example, if assessment would give us data that the reef would need assisted regeneration, so we will go for that. But at the moment, some experts have advised us that perhaps based on assessment, if we would go for at least 1 year observation, let's see if the reef would just recover by itself. Mm-hmm. So some of the rehabilitation measures, for example, or help could be given to some areas in the Tubbataha area. For example, we will just put some protection measures in some of the areas in Tubbataha, putting for more monitoring stations so that the grounding will not happen anymore in the future.
All right, sir. In terms of the rehabilitation, if indeed we'll push through with it, who will shoulder it? Who will shoulder that burden, and will the U.S. government pay for that?
Oh, of course, the Philippine government has asked the U.S. government to pay for the fines. Especially, we have a law on the Tubbataha, and we have the law provides that any damage on the reef, will be paid, and be penalized by whoever would damage the reef. So the Philippine government position is that we will push for the penalties provided for by the law.
So another issue aside from the Tubbataha Reef being a World Heritage Site that's being overlooked is the fact that we also get a large supply of our marine resource or fish supply for the country. Has it been affected by the damage? And did it affect the sustainability of our providence for food for our people?
At the moment, we don't get such data unless the damage assessment would be completed. But the World Resources Institute have made a study on the Tubbataha Reef. For food security alone, we got around $3.7 million annually from the Tubbataha Reef, just for the fishes. The fishes that would go out from the reef, because Tubbataha Reef is no fishing zone. It's the fish that would go out outside of the reef. We get around $3.7 million from that. For tourism alone, we got around $1.3 million annually for tourism. That's for diving.
So speaking of tourism, this is the dive season at the Tubbataha Reef. How active are you in putting up more monitoring areas in the Tubbataha Reef to ensure that this won't happen again?
Okay, the place that was damaged, will be off limits to the divers, and that's exactly what the PAWB would be doing. But all the other areas, the dive sites, are still open, and then the PAWB will be very active in monitoring these activities. Experience, there is no damage coming from the dive activities. It was really the grounding of the ships that damage are coming from.
Sir, I'm sure that you would agree with me that this was indeed a very unfortunate incident, but what is something positive that came out of it? Lessons learned from this incident?
Yeah, Tubbataha Reef has received a World Futures Award. It's given by the United Nations last year in September, and also during the conference on biological diversity in Hyderabad, India. Tubbataha Reef was recognized because of its coral reef protection measures around the world. So these lessons, what we got from the grounding is that we want this not to happen again, especially Tubbataha is a World Heritage Site, and it's a cultural jewel from our country. So the government is implementing its coral reef rehabilitation program called SCREM, Sustainable Reef Ecosystem Management Program, that would cover all the 33 NIPAS marine protected areas in the Philippines, covering around 1.7 million hectares. And we want the U.S. government to help us on this in protecting not only Tubbataha, but also all other coral reefs in the Philippines. As you know, Kathy, the Philippines is in the apex of the so-called coral triangle. That's the most richest and diverse coral reef area in the world. So it's more diverse than the Great Barrier Reef of Australia. So we are at the apex, and we are at the center of marine surface biodiversity in the world. So we want to protect our coral reefs, and this lesson from the grounding of the USS Guardian make us more resolute and dedicated to protect more our jewels like the coral reefs.
All right, very well said. Thank you very much, Director Jacob Meimban of the DNR's Coastal and Marine Office.
Thank you, Kathy.